Okay, hey everybody, welcome to this evening stream. So let me just switch over to this cam actually. So cool. I hope you all enjoyed that trailer. I'm going to play it in a moment, just in case anybody on Twitch missed it, or just figured, it's pretty cool trailer. It's worth another look, so you can have a little look to see if there's any other little bits you can spot. First thing I'm going to say is do let me know if you can hear my fan. Obviously last week anyone who tuned in know that it was a little bit hot here in the UK, and it's still probably hotter here at the moment. So I do have a fan on my desk, and it's kind of blowing towards me. But yeah, do let me know if you can hear that coming through on the mic, and I can sort of move that along. So yeah, hopefully you're all super excited for the Mechanical Revolution, which does start tomorrow. So there is the Battle Pass, and the new season will begin tomorrow. So super exciting. It only feels like 2 minutes since we had our Alien Conspiracy running. So yeah, it's going to be really cool. There's a ton of really cool new assets coming with this, new costumes, a new hub, all that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to take you through just a few of those things. We will be live again tomorrow as a sort of launch day stream, which is a sort of slightly bigger, bit more fanfare. That's going to be hosted by AJ, and there's going to be a few extras coming along. So do make sure you tune in tomorrow at the same time for that. So as I say, what we'll do tonight is I'm going to focus a little bit more on the sort of the development side of things. So I'm going to show a little bit of the hub, show you a few things, and basically then jump ahead into the editor and just basically, yeah, get open the library and a bit more of a deep dive into all the assets that you'll be able to get your hands on tomorrow. So what we'll do first, I think, I'm just going to probably quickly play that little trailer again. As I say, it's a big effort from the team, so well done to everybody at the studio, who took part in creating that trailer. I think it's probably our best one yet. Let us know in chat what you think. And yeah, I'm going to play that again, and we'll get on with the overview. Okay, cool. Right, so we're going to jump ahead straight into the game here. So what I will say is that I am on an internal build here. So obviously we are sort of working to have the release out tomorrow. So it's not available on the live game yet. So I'm working from an internal development build here. And as always, there's potential here that we're going to have some, there may be some issues, maybe some bugs, maybe some kind of things. This isn't necessarily representative of what's going to be launched tomorrow. This build I'm on is perhaps a few days old at this point, but it should give us everything we need in terms of the assets and the things we want to show. So just having a quick look at chat there. So I can see a few people mentioning about NPCs. This update will not be introducing NPCs. But one day hopefully that's the sort of thing we'd love to add to the game. This is probably the biggest pack. I think I've been doing a little bit of work recently, kind of like totaling up each of the seasons, and I think this is the largest pack of assets that we've ever released in one go. So a whole ton of stuff. As a huge amount of voxel meshes, a huge amount of meshes, all that sort of stuff. So there's loads of stuff to look forward to, as well as obviously the new battle pass, all of the progression that you can expect to see from the battle pass. So perhaps if I just jump over and have a look at that. As we can see there, I'll just show the first page or two. So we'll see that the first guy you're going to get is Robot Guy. See, a lot of people are pretty excited for the robot here. So we can see he's called Sprocket. He's our sort of mechanical revolution thing, and a few people mentioned about the cogs on his back. So hopefully you can just about see there's full animation. There's a little fluid tank sort of moving around in the back there. So yeah, some really kind of seriously cool work going into this. As always, the art team have done a fantastic job. Super amazing job with not just the assets, but the animation, the characters, the cosmetics. You can see in the background on here, we've got the robot doing the machinery doing its fairly kind of mesmerizing animations. I've spent a lot of time with these machines for the last few weeks, sort of playing with them, animating them. Part of what I'll show tonight is a little bit of a package I've been working on, which won't necessarily be ready for tomorrow, but it should hopefully be a package that kind of works towards a bit of a production line. We've got that. So we've got some other cool things. We've got some new emotes. So some, obviously wouldn't be a battle pass without some dance emotes. So some pretty cool stuff there. Some really seriously cool spawn effects. So just if anyone missed that one, so really cool spawn effects, and again all themed towards the sort of the season. So it's all kind of mechanical stuff. So again, there's some seriously cool spawn effects coming with this. A little preview of one of the new drones. So this sort of mechanical dragonfly drone. I think AJ's been using this one a lot internally while we've been playing on these internal builds, and yeah, it's a really cool one. You sort of see it in the editor and you want to go over and have a look at it. So yeah, really quite cool stuff. Or your sort of trails. So that's a really nice sort of like kind of sci-fi, that edge of like a mechanical sort of Tesla type thing. That's pretty cool. Pretty decent kind of makeup stuff, and as always, a whole host of different things you're going to unlock through the battle pass. I think someone's just mentioned here about the hair. So yeah, some pretty cool shock hairstyles. That's a pretty cool one. As always, you've got the credits that will come along, and then I think we'll just go to this one. So pretty cool skin here, you can see. So this is like our gentry character, our sort of slightly upper class character who perhaps owns the factory, owns the production lines, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, really cool, really kind of huge amount of stuff that you can look forward to unlocking. I'll just show you a couple more outfits. I know AJ is going to probably do a lot more of this tomorrow. I think I have a look here. We can filter now by season. Okay, and I'm just going to grab this robot. We'll have a little run around with this guy. So as we can see there, we've got the cogs in the background, doing the nice animations. And again, as I move around, there's a little bit of like a fluid tank in there. You can see moving around. He's got his cool little neckerchief. I think this might be one of my favourite skins we have now, actually. So while I'm here, we'll talk about a few changes in the hub itself. So you'll notice the UI is a little bit different. So we've gone to the effort here to kind of integrate a lot of the UI in the hub to make it sort of feel like more like a system level thing. So we've got this sort of sci-fi UI now that will kind of fit, hopefully, a little bit better. The general theming, the general layout is slightly changed, I believe. Stuff like that. I can see everyone's telling me to go and claim my rewards. Can I do that? Let's do that before. So there we go. Even though I'd already got it, because obviously I've unlocked it internally myself, I have now equipped or unlocked my Sprocket outfit. There we go. Fun little dance he's doing there. Okay, so we've got a few other little things to look forward to around the hub. I guess one of them is, well, obviously our daily collectibles are back. So we've kind of worked on the system. We kind of obviously had a few things with the briefcases. We've kind of worked it in to be a little bit better this time. So things like the activities, which we're going to cover a little bit later on, make a little bit more sense with the hub now. So even on days where the challenge isn't active for collectibles, you'll still gain XP by collecting everything via the activity system. So that's going to be quite a nice little change. So it still encourages you to go and find all of the, in this case, the cogs, what you can find now in the hub. A nice little showcase of some of our really cool gears. Okay, behind me is a whole new thing that we've been working on. I'll show you that in a moment. And this is something that Adam's done a lot of work on. So if you are, if you do like the look of this, make sure you head over to Discord and let Adam know. We've introduced a sort of a survival game that's coming to the hub. Okay, so this is like a rolling machine, essentially. And what it will do is when you enter the machine, it will kind of record the time you entered it, and then the longer you can stay on it, the longer, the higher the score. And there's a little high score leaderboard. It's just a bit of fun. We used to do the big sort of obstacle courses that people like to compete over, and we figured, we'd change it up a little bit this time we'll do something a bit different. There's a few nuances with this. There's things like, the more people on it, the faster it goes, I think, or the longer the people are surviving, the faster it goes. And there's a few fun elements here, so it's definitely worth grabbing your friends and jumping in together. Adam's done a really, really great job with this. It does a lot of really quite clever stuff, so it's not necessarily the same. There's a lot of randomization. It's going to go around, and it isn't something that it's not as easy as it looks. Let's put it that way. We've had quite a lot of fun testing this internally, seeing who can be the best champion. Okay, I'm going to run up these stairs actually. So yeah, this is one of the nice sort of assets that's coming with this. Is these like kind of cast iron walkways that we're going to get. Let me see, we've got our jukeboxes. So again, that's the next change we've really got in the hub, is the fact that the jukeboxes now exist outside of what was in just the diner space. We've now got the jukeboxes kind of in a couple of places around the hub, so it allows you to sort of show off your records and that sort of thing. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff you can do there. And you can see here it's telling me that I found one of the 8 records this season. If I open this, we've got some nice in-game UI here, and good, if I believe, yeah. So it's going to tell me now actually how I can unlock these 8 records. So it's just a way to kind of get people to engage with the hub, and hopefully, it can kind of become a bit of a trophy collection. So for example, survive 30 seconds on the knockout game, find all the gears in a day. You get, the chance of winning this on an event. So we're bringing back the event system, which we bought before. So that's going to work on like a timed system. I would have a go, but I'm going to save that for another day. Okay, so we can come down here, and there's, it's kind of familiar layout to what we've seen in the hub before. Okay, so here we have our train, and we're going to do a little bit of we'll have a look at this train in closer detail, but again, an absolutely phenomenal asset that the art team have produced here. It's really quite something, and we'll go into a bit more detail in the editor and showcase it more, but there's a lot of individual components to this, so it looks like one great big mesh, but you can actually break these down into quite a lot of smaller pieces, and that goes for all of the carriages and all of the things you can attach to it. So obviously in the past, we've had the feedback about being able to break things down even more, and yeah, hopefully this is one of those assets that it's really going to kind of show how well you can kind of kit bash with this sort of stuff. There. Okay, so this brings us over to our lobby area. Okay, so what we have is a slight change that we've carried over from the end of the last season, where the activities or the events that are going to run in the hub are actually going to be triggered every 5 minutes. So they're going to be fairly frequent. In the past, we started off every 15 minutes, but now what we're going to have is every 5 minutes. So it kind of gives you a reason to hang around in the hub for longer if you want, especially if you're going to go for your trophies and you're going to go for your sort of collection of assets. See some, yeah, pretty nice, pretty fun kind of abstract things going on in the hub. We've got the clock here, so I've seen a few people talk about the clock. So this is actually an indicator for when the next event will be. So in this case, it's going to take 5 minutes for this hand to move all the way around. So once the hand gets to the top, that's when you know that the next event's going to happen. So that's a good way kind of in game to sort of monitor that, and obviously you'll get the same notifications and that sort of stuff. To take part in the events, you'd need to be in this area at the time, and I can see here once I enter it, it's going to tell me how much. And again, we've got one of the jukeboxes in there, so there's quite a few little changes to just kind of keep things fresh, keep things kind of being improved, but it's still fundamentally the same sort of idea. So if you're not in this area standing over here when the event starts, then you're not going to be a part of the event, and it just allows you to kind of stay kind of in the hub separate to anything that's going on. Look over here. So again, obviously on an internal build, so you can ignore what's on these game cards. These are sort of our internal sort of testing games and things. New park bench mesh, really like that one. Okay, and then we've got a few things over here. So what we actually have is you know, kind of our, again, showing off some of the new voxels. So we've got some new bricks, and we've got various new crates and things. New sliding doors, nicely timed. Quite a lot of new effects, and a lot of new smoke effects, things like that we're going to show off. And we've also, you know, we've tried our best to kind of, obviously, as always, listen to feedback, and we've got a couple of extra places in the hub where you'll find game cards. And in this case, this one is actually pointing to a showcase world. So this was made by Ed, so Ed's joined us on the stream a few times. I'm not going to go into this tonight. I think the plan is AJ is going to show this off a little bit more tomorrow, and obviously this should hopefully be ready and be out with the build, with the game going out tomorrow. So I'm not going to give anything away in there now. That's going to be something that you can tune into tomorrow night to kind of join in with, or, you know, as I say, once the build's out, hopefully if it's there, which it should be, you'll be able to jump in and have a look for yourself. Okay, so let's have a look. What else we've got? So yeah, lots of sort of gears and cogs, and that one, you know, pretty large one. So there's some really quite big meshes with this, which is, you know, quite nice to make some pretty large, sort of, you know, pretty cool sort of scale of factories and things. I think that's enough for the hub. As I say, there's a lot more to sort of play with and find, and as always, we're going to have changes that sort of roll in and out throughout the course of the season. But this is our new home. This is where we will be for the next few weeks. So yeah, do make sure you spend some time in the hub, and, you know, and check out the knockout game and all the fun stuff you can expect from there. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the editor. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start, not an empty game, I'm going to make a time trial. I figured, you know, we've seen a few. I know Echo made a pretty cool factory time trial game, and I figured I'd, you know, do something similar-ish this evening. We do have the kind of, a lot of the meshes do tend to sort of lend themselves towards like a tycoon game, and it'd be really amazing to see a whole new set and flurry of sort of factory tycoon games and all the stuff that we can expect to come off back of these props. But for this one, yeah, I think I'm just going to do a time trial this evening, and we'll call this Factory Runners. Name off the top of my head. Okay, I've got a couple of new game cards. I think they might be a little bit slow to load on this build. If they don't appear, I think we will pick something else, and I'll see if I can find them later. But yeah, okay, they're not appearing. Let's just go with the usual one here. I think we've got two new sort of game cards that you can pick. One is sort of a collection of crates and assets, I think, and then the other one is the train. Cool. Yeah, so obviously do let us know what you think, and let us know what you thought about the trailer reveal as well. You know, obviously that's a new way of doing things, and it felt really exciting actually to have that as a premiere at the start. I think that's, you know, definitely a way I'd like to do things in the future. So yeah, let us know what you thought about that as a sort of general process. Okay, let's get into it then. So we're going to go through and have a look at a whole bunch of meshes, and I think the best way to showcase these is probably in the advanced mode. So let's jump across into there. Okay, so the editor, pretty much the same. There's not a huge amount of difference. The only difference I can think of off the top of my head, other than, you know, the usual sort of fixes in the background and optimizations and stuff, but the main difference you'll find is in the game tab, this new activities section. So we're going to cover activities a bit more at the end, and we'll have a tutorial from Andy, which is coming out next week. So next Thursday we should have a kind of proper Andy tutorial taking us through how to use them. If you are interested, if there's anything I don't cover in that section tonight, then last Tuesday's stream was actually a stream about the activities, so go and check that out. We did a whole sort of hour or so doing a bit of a deep dive, and we had John, one of the directors here at the studio, who was kind of responsible for a lot of the decisions and you know, handles a lot of the stuff to do with the Battle Pass and XP. So he was in chat, he was answering questions, so it's definitely worth going out and checking out the sort of the live chat from the archive last week, in case there's any questions there that are answered that you might have. So yeah, still lots to show here, so let's get into it. Let's go to the voxels first. I think basically what I'm going to do is I'm thinking like a bit of a factory space, and then a train can pull up along the side. Maybe the train can come through the middle of it. I think that might be quite an interesting way to do it. So our voxels, we don't have the tag for this specifically, but we do have an industrial tag. In fact, let me show it this way. So you'll notice there's a new factory. Okay, so if I click into here, I think I showed this very briefly last week, but we've got an absolute ton of new materials in here. So there's kind of a set of, 8 materials, but each material also comes in various colors and various different states of kind of, is it damaged, is it not damaged. So we can really quickly make some pretty cool settings and stuff like that. So if I just go for a bit of a factory wall around here, I'm actually going to do this with the brick first. So if you go onto brick, we've got this new old red brick, which is quite a nice one to start with. So let's just do our big box. We'll make a bit of a factory space inside here. So if there's any particular thing you'd like to see, anything I haven't kind of covered in this, and do let me know. As I say, this is kind of just a general overview, just to sort of show the sort of stuff that's coming. But yeah, if there's anything that you think I've missed, you might have seen. I know AJ's done a really great job sort of sharing stuff over the last few weeks. So if there's anything I don't show and you do want to get a closer look at it, then do let me know in chat, and I'll do my best to sort of find a space in which to do that. Okay, so this is our huge room, and we'll basically just start filling this with stuff. So let's paint the floor a different color to start with, and we'll maybe do a few little rooms and walls and stuff. So if we go back to our factory, we just go for a black factory floor to start with. And what I might do is I might just sort of break each room up by slightly different color. Okay, but here we can see, so that's what we're looking at. So it's got like a bit of a shine to it, and it's just this sort of quite nice straightforward pattern, sort of small tiles, creates quite a nice effect. It's got a little bit of a shine to it there, you can see, which can create some pretty nice effects. If I bring this back, so let's have a look at some kind of different colors. So let's say a red, damaged red one. So again, it's the same pattern, but you can see that it's kind of cracked and splintered and got a few bits missing, so you can create some nice areas of kind of where workers would be perhaps on their production lines and things like that. What else we've got? We've got some panels, so chunkier panels with like the rivets in, so that again, nice little bits of kind of rust and things on it. So really fantastic job again from the artists creating these voxels that kind of very quickly look not like voxels, you know. And that's one of the beauties of Crayta, is you can kind of create scenes that even though you're working within a voxel grid, you know, to a degree, a lot of the materials actually really do look quite cool, and really quite amazing in terms of being able to sort of blend and get rid of that grid based kind of feel, create some nice walls and things. So what else have we got? I think we've got some different direction ones, and again like different materials. So again, you got this really nice kind of scuffed up surfaces, makes it look like kind of working in kind of like a real space. You know, there'd be a lot of machinery pulled around, a lot of, you know, kind of feet on the ground, and you can create some pretty cool stuff like that. Alex says, are you showing new meshes? Yes, I'm going to show some new meshes. I'm going to go through a little bit of a deep dive in the library here and show off quite a few, you know, and break down kind of how they come together, just to give you kind of a peek of what you can get your hands on tomorrow. Do you have to make a time trial game or just a normal empty game to make a speed running game? So I guess it kind of depends how you want to do it, but you'll probably be looking, if you're making a speedrun game, you probably want a time trial template. I think time trial templates gives you everything that you would need. Okay, right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to put it as one of the black panels, I think. Yeah, let's go with that one for now. Let's think about our start space. So if this is our checkpoint 1, let's put this over here and we'll make a little room around this. I think probably a good way to do that. So if you are interested in a lot of the other stuff, so like I imagine the cosmetics, the outfits, the effects and stuff, then I'd highly recommend you tune into tomorrow's stream, because AJ is going to probably show a lot more of that sort of stuff, but also he's going to be joined by Tak, who is our outsourced art manager, who does a lot of the work with the artists who are kind of building this stuff. So it's definitely worth tuning in tomorrow to get an insight from Tak of, if you know, a lot of the inspirations and how we make these meshes and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So really super experienced guy, you know, a lot of industry experience. So it's definitely worth tuning in for that sort of introduction and that sort of experience. Close that door a bit, try and bit of a sun glare coming through. We'll manage. Right, okay, so let's build out this little space here and I'll start filling this room with stuff. So let's go back and get our brick. Okay, we'll make this panel out of something like that. Okay, we've got this space. Oh, that might look a bit weird. It's the same as the floor. In fact, yeah, let's change the floor. That one. Okay, again, slightly different one. You know, you can play with these sort of things for hours. So let's have a look here, and a big jump over a big pit of molten or whatever. Would you mind adding a sound? So I can turn this up. I've got a bit of a playlist. Hopefully you can hear that in the background. Just a bit of music to go with it. I'll show some more sounds in a bit. Some of the specific things we can expect from this, but I want to kind of give them their own moment rather than just being in the background the whole time. Do we have a new car model? There's no new car. No, but there is a train. You know, I think of the two. I think the train wins. Let's have a look what else we can do here. So let's got this out. Okay. I'm gonna go and get Adam's door. So we've got the multiplayer door package. It's a pretty good one. I'd always recommend this, the door dash multiplayer. So it's a really good one for throwing doors into a scene, because Adam's done a lot of the work in the code, kind of make it work with multiple players and stuff. That's really cool. So yeah, we'll get some sounds in a little bit. We'll just go through some more of this stuff first. So I don't want that door. I'm going to change this for our factory door. So pretty cool mesh. As I say, it kind of works as you'd expect. It opens up sort of like in the middle, and you've got these nice windows at the top for that transparency through. Just realised what. I was wondering why that wasn't moving. Okay, it's on the whole checkpoint. I probably want to just unparent this door. You can tell this isn't very rehearsed. There we go. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at some meshes we can put in here. So this, we do have a tag for this. We've got our mechanical revolution tag. Let's have a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the stuff we can expect to see in here. So we'll get some of the things that might fill a room like this. So let's have a look. So nice wooden spool. We can get some various things out on top of this. So we have some pretty cool like suitcase things. So just various like containers. You know, you could imagine a sort of conveyor belt. You could make some sort of airport perhaps. That sort of stuff. We've got some pretty cool tools. We've got a saw mesh. Got a sack, so a pretty big sack, and again pretty generic, but you can do a lot of stuff with this. You sort of various playing with that. What we've got here, tins. So a big push in this was kind of lots of stuff, for lack of a better term. So we want to kind of empower people to make kind of tycoon games and things, and we figured a good way to do that would be to have lots of sort of components. And I'll show you a production line I've been working on a little bit later, and it kind of goes through a flow of kind of spawning things and moving things, which kind of allows you to kind of have, you know, a production line that looks like it's doing stuff, and part of that is having all these individual kind of little things. So for example, we've got an open sack here, so that's a sack you could add stuff to. So let's say I've got my wheat to this, so you could have a machine where basically an empty sack goes through, and then out the other side there's a kind of a sack with some stuff in it. So, you know, various stuff like that you can play with. Fun stuff there. So, a wrench as well. Oh, sorry, not a wrench, a spanner. What else can we do? Someone says about sandwich. So we have jumbo sandwich. So if you're making a sandwich production line, it just looks like a really tasty sandwich. We've got there a bit of lettuce, tomato, ham. Nice. And then as always we have a sort of slightly smaller version. Perhaps you have a factory where it enlarges your sandwiches. Okay, all new pipes, so just kind of fit that sort of dark sort of theme that we have. So we've got a whole bunch of new pipes that you can, as always, kind of expect with anything in Crayta. We'll just sort of clip together. As you'd expect. Theme whistle. So this is quite a cool one, and we've got a few new effects that kind of work with this. Pop that there, so you can have some new effects that there. I'll get one of those in a moment. Cool. So yeah, lots of new pipe works. Again, you can imagine doing a lot of decorating with these new pipes. You know, have sort of again conveyor belts producing them, or stuff like that. Our pressure gauge. So we've actually got two types of pressure gauge here. We've got our mechanical revolution pressure gauge, and we've kind of created one that fits the arcade city theme as well. So with a couple of the props, what we've done is we've kind of remixed them in a way that they would work outside of the theme pack, because we figured they're quite cool ones to have in other places. And what we see here, so I've just dragged one of those in, but actually if I click in here, our pressure gauge is split down as a mesh folder. So we have quite a few of these, where essentially you can have the whole thing, or you can have the kind of the face with the needle separate. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to select the needle, and you can then kind of manipulate that separately. So you might have noticed that a little bit in the trailer where we had it moving, all in game. So again, the whole trailer was recorded and created in game, you know, no special tricks. We kind of did all the scripting and all the camera work and stuff in game, which is always pretty cool. We've seen some pretty cool trailers actually being made recently, so yeah, good stuff. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with that, you know, in terms of gameplay. You could have the pressure, you know, the needle hit red, certain things happen in the factory. A lot of cool stuff there. Jumbo nuts and bolts, stuff like that. We'll get to the machines in a moment. As I say, I'm going to bring in the thing to see kind of how, show you how that sort of stuff can work with the scripts like that. Let's do a bit of lighting. So we've got our new hanging lamps, so pretty big chunky lamps. So again, what we've kind of focused on this time is a little bit of a larger scale. So again, big factories, big machinery, big stuff like that. Let's just drag light in here. So as always with these nice caged lights, we get some pretty cool effects, especially once you turn shadows on. If we just drop the world light a bit, make this more intense. So we can see here we've got these nice shadows on the ceiling. So yeah, these sort of light meshes that we get are always pretty fun to work with in terms of kind of, yeah, getting the nice shadows and the nice effects. What else have we got? These columns are pretty cool. So again, creating big chunky stuff, and as always, you know, it just clips together, it just works really nicely. So very quickly you can start making some nice things. There we go, just like that. So you can create some, yeah, pretty cool stuff based off that. We've got a nice arch as well, if I can find the arch. Part of this, yeah, the trusses and the arches. Maybe it's called something different. Oh, here it is, bracket. We've got this pretty nice bracket piece, and yeah, it's always quite cool to go through and find all the things that have the Crayta logo on. So there's quite a few props that do it. There's a few kind of little hidden ones. It's always pretty good fun to go and have a look for. But yeah, so the Crayta logo is kind of embedded in a bunch of these. Push that into there. Okay, let's have a look at our truss. So we've got some nice, again, on the same sort of aesthetic, these nice big iron girders. So all kind of fit the same color scheme, and these, you know, these big chunky rivets, and you can create some pretty nice spaces just out of these, all this sort of iron work. Okay, that's enough of that for now. What else have we got in here? Windows. Let's have a look at a window. Let's cut a hole in the back. I showed one of these last week. There we have. So yeah, pretty cool, nice window, and again, all the transparency that you'd expect, and kind of a little bit of a sort of fuzz around there, but create some nice big scenes. You can imagine that as a factory wall with all those sort of like, you know, all the windows and stuff. You've got some nice factory gates. Let me show you the gate. Again, it was always coming with the animation, so these can be opened and closed. Yeah, again, fitting a nice color scheme. It's got the, you know, the nice Crayta logos embedded in there as well. Okay, I've got a feeling what I'm going to do is I'm actually probably going to end up off tangent and not really make much of a time trial here. I'm just going to sort of be showcasing a lot of this stuff. But what else? So let's say we go through this room, and let's make a little bit of a furnace room. I think that might be quite good, so we can show some of those props there. I hope this is kind of exciting enough for everybody. I'm going through this stuff kind of pretty quick, but yeah, do let me know if there's anything you want to take a deeper sort sort of a deeper look into. Long. Okay, what we'll do, we'll make this as a little bit of a furnace room, and I think for this I'm going to show a couple of things you could use for a furnace. So we have this furnace opening, and one thing we've done with this is I don't think we've actually created a dedicated box for this, because again, a lot of the trade-off when making these sort of meshes is, should this be done with voxels? You know, should this be a mesh? And we figured actually this opening with the nice kind of curved top probably should be a mesh, whereas the whole thing itself, the furnace itself, probably makes more sense to actually be made out of voxels. So we'll do that. We'll get our, make a sort of voxel bot. Off this back wall. I think that's kind of straight enough. And then we can always throw in a little chimney. So we have some furnace, or we have these big sort of chimney pieces, so pretty big, chunky kind of pieces, but yeah, perhaps works quite well. We can always throw in a little concrete step around the bottom or something. Okay, let's cut out a hole for the fire. Okay, let's see what we can put in here. We've got a drain cover. I think this is something we've needed in game for a long time, because I think a lot of people have actually been relying on our cell bar window as a drain cover. That's been the classic. We've actually got some pretty nice kind of meshes specifically for drain covers now. It's got like a nice kind of curve on top. A door, so we can stick a furnace door in there, and again, nice little Crayta logo on that. And this, as always, does have its animation. So if I just swap this out for a multiplayer door, a little bit bigger in a minute, but if we swap this down to the furnace door, okay, and then these triggers will basically work in the same way. So when we go there, they're going to pop open. Can we take a look at the gear radius and teeth size? Are they all compatible? Use the same teeth? I think they are to a degree. I mean, the animation, it takes a little bit of getting a little bit of trial and error if you're using something like the rotate and move script. I'm sure there's some pretty smart people who perhaps are going to do some crazy maths based on, you know, the diameter and the circumference and the speeds and all that sort of stuff. But it's quite, yeah, we've got a really interesting, pretty cool set of gears. So they're not all just kind of like disc based gears. We've actually got a lot of things like I think it's called like a worm, a racken. There's all sorts of stuff you can do for almost like having the gears work on different directions. So we'll show those off in a moment. But here's our furnace. So let's stick I guess we'll throw a light in here. Again, that'll be a shadow casting light. Much darker in here again. There we go, because you can just about see there, got these nice, trying to get this furnace effect on the floor. You know, you can make your light move slightly. Nice reflection just there. It's, yeah, really cool mesh. I guess it wouldn't be the fire if we didn't throw in some flames. Yeah, if you get nice and close, you get the nice sort of lit edges there where you can see the flames flickering. So yeah, some really, really cool stuff you can see. Working on that. I'd really like to see a played timeline. So I guess, yeah, that'd be a really, like, the timelines would really work quite well, you know, across a series of different kind of cogs and things. Can you show us some visual effects? I'm not sure what you mean by visual effects. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show, so another thing that might work like a furnace is one of our machines, which is our oven. Let me see, just search oven. I think we had a little look at this on last week. Again, really, really cool, really kind of nicely detailed sort of machine, and you can see the big space inside. So all of the machines are designed to work with the conveyor belts. So the idea is the conveyor belts can pass through these machines, and then you can do what you like inside. You can have fires, effects, you know, you can do all sorts of stuff. Like see visual effects like the particle effects, yeah. Okay, so that one is, so this could be our little furnace room. I'll do one more room. I'm going to show some of the, I'll show some of the lightning and stuff, and then we'll have a look at the cogs and things. Take our door from here. Okay, and then let's just make a little box around this one as well. The furnace will also make for a scary NPC. Yeah, you could do some like kind of growling sounds, perhaps. I don't know if you've got any like that, but yeah, you could almost make it like a kind of, there's something kind of looks like a face like that. You could do some stuff. We've got another great based pun in chat. Crazy. Right, okay, so here's a pretty cool one. Let's show off. You might have noticed this if you were looking carefully in the trailer, sitting in the back of the train. It's a fairly big mesh, so it's pretty difficult to miss, and you may have seen it as we're going around, but this is our Tesla coil. Let me see if I can find it. Tesla coil. Okay, so this is a really cool mesh, and it works really nicely. Again, it's got this nice sort of reflective surface on top, and it works really nicely when it's accompanied with some particle effects. So again, no tags here, but let's search Tesla, and we can see the Tesla lightning effect. So this is a really cool effect. I can imagine there's a lot of kind of cases where you want to use this. It's fairly sort of dynamic, you know, you can watch it for a while and it doesn't seem to repeat itself too much. You can get, you know, the nice little mist that comes off it. It actually creates a really nice effect with the lighting. So if you look at the ceiling there, you can see the reflections of the lightning there. So if you've got a factory space and a bunch of these effects in, obviously within performance limits, you can create some really nice effects where it's almost like a welding torch or something. You've got the nice blue highlights kind of flickering off all the shiny surfaces. So yeah, definitely a cool combination there to make sure you include in plenty of games. Yeah, definitely one to recommend. Right, I'm going to make another one on this side. It might make for quite a cool effect as well, I imagine. Perhaps you could do like a trigger box, and anyone who touches this gets zapped, and they end up kind of ragdolled or something. That might be quite fun. Yeah, that's what I meant with visual effects. Yes, and I think AJ pointed out, but I noticed, yeah, the particle effects. Is what I guess is the word you meant. Okay, so let's have a look at some gears. I might throw a few gears on the wall in here. Okay, so we have a few different shapes and sizes, so I'm just going to sort of line them up. along here. So there's 3 sizes, and you can see that they kind of come in slightly different shapes, so some teeth will fit better with other ones. We also have our straight version there. So you're essentially looking at the same sort of scale, the same sort of large, medium, and small, but the sort of the teeth are different. So these are what we say are spur. So they're sort of slightly more triangle shaped teeth, whereas these are our straight edge teeth. But I guess in theory they would connect to a degree. There's probably engineers in chat who know a bit more than me that perhaps they would never work together. We've got rods, so sort of various shapes and sizes of rods that would fit kind of perfectly in the middle of these, and then the idea there is they can be driving these rods to create various different effects. Here's our rack. As I say, these kind of again all fit as you'd expect, so and look at that, it fits really snugly in there. So if you've got your animation and your timelines kind of set up properly, you could have that driving that back and forth, which could be motioning something else. We have our gear worms. This is what I mentioned before. So this is a really nice one for working with driving, I guess, a different direction. So if we've got a small, we have a small gear up here rotating, and obviously as that rotated, this would rotate, and then we can be driving, you know, our rod like that in a sort of on a different axis. So some really interesting, really quite cool kind of uses for these gears. You know, I think people could create some really interesting looking sort of quite large scale machines. We've got our piston. I don't think there's no arm to this. It does animate though. Actually, I've never seen the animation on this, so let's have a look. Let's learn this together. So good old Annie script. So I'm just gonna sort of hard code this. So I think it said it was. Oh, my mouse is all over the place. Play animation. Okay, let's try that again. Active. Okay, so this should show us what we're looking for. Ah, there we go. Cool. So that's actually a really nice kind of built-in animation there, and that should work well. So one thing I touched on the stream last week, and I'm not sure we've covered it yet, but part of the update with this build is you can actually control the speed of animations now. So anyone who's played with things like the actions on a player, you can play. You can essentially, you know, play an action. You can kind of reload, for example, and you can control how slow or, you know, the speed of the animation. So we've carried that across to certain things like doors. There's a lot of things we can do where you can essentially, yeah, you can kind of control how fast a door opens. It can be much slower, much faster. And I imagine this is going to behave in the same way. Don't quote me on that, but I'd be surprised if this didn't do, you know, a similar kind of control the speed of that piston's animation. So yeah, pretty cool. Okay, cool. So there's a few things there. I think we'll probably go through, obviously there'll be patch notes with the build, and there'll be a bit more of a deep dive into the kind of patch notes maybe on tomorrow's stream. If AJ has planned to do that, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, we'll be covering all that stuff, and say at the very least there'll be a big list of patch notes as always. Okay, right, who's ready to see a production line? I think that's probably a good time to do that. So this is something I've been working on, and this is not necessarily going to be out tomorrow. It's got a few little issues here and there, but it was more something that I made, you know, for the purpose of the trailer or the purpose of just testing stuff. So I figured it's a nice way to just show a lot of these machines and things off in one go. So let's have a look for our production line. So I've got a couple here. One obviously is totally broken where I broke it, but this one should be the one I'm looking for. Okay, and if I pull this down into here, so production line example, Okay, so what we get here is an example of our conveyor belt system. The conveyor belts work with a fairly straightforward system where it's just an animation. You just say active or deactive. There was some stuff I tried to do on the stream last week where I was controlling the speed, and I think there was a few issues, and I believe the intention is they will be kind of adjustable in their speed. So again, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure what you should be able to do is similar to how I just mentioned with the actions and stuff. It's actually specify the speed when you're playing the animation to kind of have a slower conveyor belt or a faster conveyor belt and that sort of stuff. Taylor says, are there improvements to how Crayta handles animations and moving meshes? These assets seem to introduce a lot of movement possibilities. So there's been a lot of work going on, and that's going to be part of the build tomorrow to do with how the player moves, and how timelines work and things like that. So as part of that general effort, I think there may be some improvements there. But I think generally the advice would always be to stick with timelines. If you can animate things with a timeline, then that's always going to be pretty good. The way I've done this is a little bit kind of more complicated than it perhaps needs to be. It kind of works out how long the conveyor belt is and makes timelines based on that, which has a few little interesting results. Obviously, a single timeline that just says go in this direction would probably run a lot smoother rather than a timeline per belt. But I think, yeah, let's just make a little doorway here, and we'll hit preview because that's the best way to see this thing in action. Okay, so let's just ignore the fact this is a time trial. I think that ship sailed a long time ago. Okay, so some of our static meshes in here. Okay, we've got our nice furnace there, so we can see that opens quite nicely. So again, that door multiplayer package is a really good one for making working doors and stuff. Got our sort of Tesla lightning in here, and again, really nice reflection. So as I say, a few of these in tandem, you can create some really cool effects with sort of splitting stuff off the back of, kind of reflecting off those shiny surfaces. All of our gears. And then, right, okay, so here's our production lines. So essentially what I've got here is a little system where the silver bore will appear here. So this is just one of our new meshes. It will trigger a light in the flames, and then it will kind of randomly change into various things. So in this case, it's just going between some of our new ores. So we've got some pretty big reflective kind of ores that it can pick from. I think it seems to just be doing green every time at the moment. There you go, there's an orange one. So again, part of the new meshes is various colours of these big glowing ores, and just kind of part of the component that you can do what you like with. Our saw machine. Okay, so simple animation there, kind of saws coming down, chopping on that, which turns into our little sort of mineral pile. So again, just a little component that can really be whatever you want it to be. You can add a light to it. You could perhaps kit bash a few little things into it to make it a pile of whatever you'd like. Okay, this one's probably my favourite one. This kind of the arms that are just doing whatever you want them to do. So in this case, I'm saying they're basically turning those ores into a tin can, and that's what we're packaging up at the far end. Okay, it's our packing machine. Then in this case, I'm saying anytime a little tin goes in there, it's going to turn into that, and then I've just made a little portal to explain, they're being zipped off to a warehouse somewhere. So just an example of what you can do there. Obviously, this is all my kind of scripting and stuff. It's not necessarily something that's built in. So there's a lot of possibilities of what you can use these various sort of like machines and conveyors and packages with. See a few people talking about kind of movement. So it won't move players by default. But there's nothing to say you couldn't, do some fun stuff with kind of launching players perhaps. So if you stand on a conveyor belt, it's going to throw the player. As I say, the conveyors work basically just with the idea is it's kind of an animation, so it's just going to start playing the loop, and then any kind of work of that is up to you. Are those mechanical arms divided into pieces, or is it a single mesh? So it's a single mesh, so this is just one big mesh. And I think the reason for that is because of all the built-in animation that comes with it, is kind of why that is. But, you know, it's a really cool one. It's probably my favourite of the machines. Let's jump back in and have a look at a couple more. So there's a couple that this doesn't include. I think it might just be one that isn't included, and it's our... let me go to meshes. Yeah, so it's our milling machine, our mill. There we go. Okay, so this one does come in a couple of different pieces, so they're not all single mesh. As I say, that the arms here, this is a single mesh because it does come with that built-in animation. But things like this one doesn't have the built-in animation, so it does come in separate pieces. So you've got you can kind of rotate this on the top as you like, or you can kind of rotate the whole thing around. So it comes in 2 or 3 different bits. Speaking of things that come in different bits, now might be a good time to have a look at our train. So I'm just going to throw this in here. So first thing, we need some track. So as you can expect, we've got all sorts of different bits of track pieces. So we have our end buffer, different sort of straight pieces, curved pieces, sloped pieces, shallow ramps, you know, a lot of different things that you can create, with varying different sort of topology almost. You know, it's not just a round track, you can go little kind of slopes and hills and stuff. Let's just throw some of these in here. Am I the only one who sees the red machine as a man with a moustache? So I've spent a lot of time looking at this machine and I've never noticed that. I assume that's the face you're looking at. That's pretty funny. Slater says my tycoon brain is in overload. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put the brightness back up again, so hopefully you can see the train a bit nicer. So let's go ahead and grab our train. Okay, so as I mentioned, the train comes in script folders, so each bit is really kind of broken down into separate meshes. Daigara is the BP theme idea by Ed C. No, but I can say Ed C was very excited when we were going to be adding the train, and he did a lot of work kind of making sure we did it right, because I think he's very keen to kind of introduce a lot of this stuff into his his track works package. Okay, so let's click in here. So we can see this comes in 3 separate pieces, and we can drag the whole thing down and have a little bit of a closer look at this here. So again, fun little kind of stuff in here, nice little Crayta logo in the middle, and as always, as you'd expect, this fits kind of perfectly with the track, so you don't have to worry about that sort of stuff not working. Let's just remove this back wall. Extend that out. Okay, so that's that. So if we have a look here, so the separate bits we actually get, we get the sort of carriage on top, and then we get this little bit here as a separate bit. So this is actually something that you could then take and you could make all sorts of different things out. So you could add little voxel mesh, wooden carts on top. It's a little piece that you can do quite a lot of stuff with. I was trying to make a train like this in Voxels. It was a monster, so I'm glad this is here to save me. Forgive my ignorance, but how are you doubling the meshes with a single click? No. So what you're probably missing is I'm control copy paste on my keyboard, so you don't see me do that, but I assume what you're seeing is me click and then I'm hitting copy paste and then moving. So the keyboard shortcut that obviously you don't see from the camera. Okay, so behind this we have our, I think it's called a tender. Okay, so this is our sort of coal tender, and again this comes with various things, so we end up with the sort of the separate bits underneath, and then this whole sort of carriage bit on top, which come with its own sort of little script folder essentially. So you can remove this bit and you could fill this with whatever you'd like. So you can have, you know, maybe the train is empty, then it has to go to a station, it has to fill up, then it all appears. Okay, let me just delete that. So what I found is an easier way to do this is to actually drag it onto the train itself and then just slide it back, and that way you can kind of ensure it's going to be, if you've lined your train up on the tracks, you're going to get your the rest of your kind of carriage on the tracks. And then the benefit of that is also it's automatically parented, so by moving the train it's going to move the whole thing. What's next? We can have our wagons, so these are pretty cool. So just a great big empty box, and essentially you can do what you like with this. You can fill it with stuff. You could build a little crane that, you know, works on it. That's a really good way, you know, of kind of having lots of different meshes you can show off. So you might have noticed again in the trailer, our train had all the stuff sort of piled in the back. Wait, did you just drag a template out the meshes pane? Yes, so if you drag the, I think this is already a live feature. If you have a script folder, you don't have to click in the script folder and find the full version. You can just drag. So if I drag from here onto there, that's going to basically give me the complete version. So yeah, dragging the kind of the parent of the script folder gets you the complete version out of the library. So this is a really nice mesh again. This one comes with several elements to it. So it's got all sorts of stuff in this one is separate. So it has the all the seats are separate. So you could clear the seats out, and you've got your own carriage there to kind of have as a bit of a cargo kind of area. You could have the doors. You know, the doors can be removed, and you can have sort of open kind of ended carriages. As always, you've got the coach doors. So this end of the carriage has its own sort of little section. So each of these doors kind of can be individually deleted as well. And they should all have their kind of pivots done properly. So you can kind of animate those as well if you like. I mean, they have animation built in, or you could kind of just move them, pivot them, you know, as you wish. What else we got? So again, the small kind of wheels underneath it, we have those, and slightly, I think they're all the same mesh actually. I think they are, but yeah, okay. So there we have our kind of one of our kind of biggest pieces yet actually, and this was a really big kind of undertaking from the art team, and I think they've absolutely smashed it. So do make sure, if you are on Discord, do make sure you head over there. And just sort of let the art team know. Occasionally what we'll do is we'll take snippets, you know, anytime that people praise art to, you know, a lot of the team who aren't in Discord, we'll send that over to them internally and let them know. So yeah, if you've got any kind of comments and any praise for this sort of stuff, as I say, they've done a fantastic job. So do make sure you head over to Discord and sort of shout out on there, and we'll pass any notes on to the art team. Okay. Anything else I've missed from meshes? I think that kind of covers it. There's a lot of other kind of cool meshes, but I'll probably move on to some sounds and stuff. Now let's just have one quick flick through. So here's the various sort of different balls. So again, just generic ball, but you can kind of do what you like with that in terms of a kind of factory system. So wooden, silver, gold, copper, bronze. Fabric roll, again, just a kind of component to work with. Big hopper machine. All sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's a really, really cool pack. Just lots of bits to work with, which I think is going to make some really cool, just from decoration point of view as well. You know, being able to decorate with these things in other sorts of games, you know, shooters or whatever. I think it's going to be really, really cool. Right. So let's go ahead and have a look at some of our sounds. Okay, so if I go, I'm not sure we've got a specific tag for this, but mechanical probably going to give us a lot. So here we've got all sorts of mechanical sounds. So let me just stop this here. So you should be able to hear this. Okay, so I'm just going to go through some of these. Okay. As you can expect, we've got a whole ton of train sounds. I think someone mentioned earlier about different sounds for the trains. So we've got the air release. Cool. Okay, so there's just to highlight some of the sort of the train stuff that you can be doing there. So again, a lot of these sounds will kind of work in sort of different environments. So it doesn't necessarily have to be train, but you can do a lot of cool stuff with, like, imagine trains in the distance, or just kind of using those in inventive ways. Those sounds will spawn a whole new genre of ASMR games. Cool. Let's have a quick little flick through what we've got here. So, as I say, there's a whole an insane amount of sounds that manage the game now, and all done by Matt, our audio director. So again, similar to the art, if you kind of appreciate all the sounds that you're going to get to play with tomorrow, then do make sure you head over to Discord and let us know. Discord, we'd love to pass that sort of feedback on. I would say to the team, but in this case to Matt, who handles all this stuff. A quick flick through here, but yeah, there's so much stuff. So all this industrial stuff as well. So industrial sheet hitting. Yeah, I think we've covered that. I mean, as I say, a whole ton of stuff here to go and play with tomorrow. It's definitely worth, once it comes out, spending some time going through the library and just kind of exploring all these new and exciting assets and things. Well, so what I'm going to do now, just before we sort of start wrapping the stream up, is I want to just kind of quickly cover the one of the other changes that came with is going to come with this update. And it's kind of the reason I wanted to start at least from something in terms of a starter game, even if I didn't go ahead and make a game out of it. But we are introducing a new way for players to earn XP. So if anyone who's missed sort of the blog posts and the various streams and stuff, we'll share those links at the end. Unless AJ's around and he's got a link to the blog post, now would be a really good time to share that if you could. But essentially, what we recognised that the battle pass system worked really well last season. Actually, we're really quite pleased with how it worked. And obviously, the way it did work is that you would complete daily challenges in a game, and once you completed those 3 daily challenges, you kind of felt like you had to move on, and you kind of needed to stop playing that game, even if you enjoyed it, because you needed to go somewhere else because you weren't earning any more XP. We thought, actually, what's quite nice is a way that we can kind of give players a little bit more XP for kind of continuing to play the game, even if they've completed all the daily challenges. So the way this works is essentially it's very similar to the challenges. The way you need to think of it is, imagine if a creator challenge is encouraging a player to play the game slightly differently to how they should. So, for example, in a target practice, the challenge might be to finish the race in under 60 seconds or with 100% accuracy. The activities would actually be encouraging players to play the game how it should be played. So it's just a slightly different way of thinking about it. So where the challenge would be 100% accuracy or finishing in under 60 seconds, the activity would be just finishing the race. So by finishing the race, they're going to earn a little bit more XP. So as always, challengers can create their own. They can create their own activities. I'm just seeing there. So Daigoro says, "I fear activities will be mandatory for featured prize fund when it's right." It's not. So we've decided that we're not going to make any changes in that area. So there's going to be no change to the way that we select featured games or what's eligible for the prize fund. But what we will say is, I think this is going to be a really great feature to retain players. So it's definitely going to be worth going back to existing games and adding activities, and it should actually be really, really quite simple. So part of that work is actually a sort of combination, a slight change to the way the API works. So let me just open up a script that should do it. And I think if we go to the user, and we look at the race user script. Now, if I do a find XP, okay. So what we can see here is we actually have this new API call here called send XP event. And because creator challenges and activities are very similar concepts now, what we actually do is we've rolled them together into a single API call, which will be send XP event. So that means that the send challenge event that we used to have is now deprecated. It won't appear in the API docs, and it won't appear sort of as part of the autocomplete in the editor, but it will still work. So don't worry about games having to be updated. They aren't going to break. It's just essentially a function that you can't access, but it will still work. And it's basically a mirror copy of what send XP event does. So whereas you might want to keep your code tidy, and you might want to go through anywhere that you've used, say, send challenge event, you might want to change it to send XP event. But don't worry, you don't have to do that. It's not going to suddenly break later down the line either. If we ever did remove send challenge event, we'd probably would do some work in the background to sort of auto update for you. So don't worry about that. But send XP event will essentially fire an event to both the challenges and also the activities. So as we can see here, if we go to our game, we will have a couple of different things set up here. And you'll notice that our challenges, in this case, would be to play 3 times. So that's the challenge for the day, is to finish the race 3 times. So again, slightly outside the normal rules of the game. Whereas the activity would be to finish the race just once, just finish the race, and you get some XP for doing that. And notice how they both use race end as their activity. Let's have a look, see if race end is in the script. It is. Okay. So this line here, when we basically finish the race, is going to get sent for this user, and it's going to say send XP event race end. Now, because that matches both the challenge and the activity, it's going to fire off to the back end, and it's going to essentially, in this case, it's going to do 1 completion for the challenge. So you'll get your 1 out of 3 for the day. And you'll also get the activity. So activities will continue to be rewarded to players even once the challenge is finished. So they are separate systems in that sense. What will happen is the activity, if a player's earned an activity too quick, so obviously there's a chance here that creators could create systems where players are rewarded with XP very fast, whether that's through exploits or just generally through game design. It might be that you earn an activity every time you fire a bullet. It gets a little bit, that is technically possible within the capacity of the system. So there's some back end kind of stuff similar to how the challenges would determine what XP would be awarded. In this case, it's going to essentially drip feed through some XP based on that. And there will get to a point where the XP might tail off to be not very much or nothing. If players are earning XP too quickly, to kind of allow creators to control that a little bit, you'll notice there's a category. Okay, so the category is basically your way as a creator to say how often you would expect a player to complete this activity. So in this case, if it's a low category, this means it's something that's going to take place very quick. So the category of low means it's going to be a low XP reward. Because we're expecting them, as the highlight says there, they're probably going to complete it every 10 seconds. So in this case, that might be something like killing another player in a shooter, or maybe even reaching a checkpoint, depending on how sort of short your course is. So by banding that as low, then that will kind of go through to the back end, and from there we'll work out what the XP reward is based on that, and it kind of matches what we'd expect, kind of how frequently it's coming through. Mid, this is something that would take place every 30 seconds. So in the shooter example, that might be a headshot. It's a little bit more rare, but it's still going to happen frequently enough that we perhaps say it's going to happen maybe several times in a 3 or 4 minute round. So that's a mid. Whereas a high is something that you would expect every few minutes. So this is going to be a high XP reward activity, and it's something that's going to be kind of happening every so often. So in this case, that's more like your end of round, or you're winning a round or something like that, or finishing a race. It's just the thing that isn't going to happen very frequently, and therefore it's worth a little bit more XP to the players for that. Daigoro says, can I lock activities to certain activities are only available on certain days? So no, I think is the short answer there. So activities will be active once they're set up in here. They're sort of in the pool. There's no system of selection. So with challenges, the way that worked is you would essentially have the kind of the pool of challenges, and the game would pick 3 to be active in a day. The way activities work is they're all there at all times. So they're kind of more like hidden things to think about. That's not necessarily a checklist of things that a player can go through and say, I've done all of the activities today. It's a way to really just encourage them to keep playing your game, to retain them in your game, and to keep getting a little bit of XP, by kind of playing through and along. On that note, there's no system level notification. So as before with the challenges, you get the pop-up on the bottom right that says, you've completed 1 of 3, or you've completed the challenge for today. When a player completes an XP event, there isn't any actual notification of them doing that. At a system level, we don't want to shout out constantly that you've done something that rewards XP. But that being said, what you can do is obviously you can catch that. So lost my train of thought there. So we do have an we do have an API on activity triggered, and what on activity triggered does is that on the user will shout out whenever that user is awarded XP from somewhere in your code. This function will fire when it comes back, and what it lets you know is it lets you know the ID of the activity, the text, so that's your display name configured over here, and it also lets you know what category they were rewarded in, so whether they were rewarded by the system as a high, low, or medium. So even though you've defined a category on the right hand side in the game settings, it might be that the system determines to kind of bump it down if it's happening too often, that sort of thing. So Daigoro, is there on XP earned script entry point? Yeah, so on activity triggered is essentially your on XP earned. It's a way for you to catch when it happens, and from there that gives you enough information to write your own kind of UI stuff. I know Stuart has been working on a package which we should hopefully be getting out at some point fairly soon, and they will essentially, the packages will allow you to kind of have a little bit of XP, but the system's here, the system's in place for you to kind of create your own. You can have XP pop up on the screen or above the player's head, or however you want to kind of reward players for completing an activity. It might be that you kind of catch them all, and at the end of a round you show them all the things they did. It's entirely up to you. It's a really kind of flexible system in that way. Daigo, what else have you said there? I can disable them with UTC time. That's a good point. Yeah. So the what I mentioned about disabling them, I guess you're in control of when they're completed. So even though if they're all active, you are in control of when they're completed, and as part of the kind of not necessarily keeping it hidden, but there's no place to check what activities are in the game either. So obviously the daily challenges appear on the challenge tab, the Creator challenge tab. There'll be no place for a creator to come in and actually see what activities are, because you kind of want, again, to reward them for just playing the game. But again, nothing stopping you from writing your own little UI. You're in control of what activities there are, so if you can kind of just have that list written in the UI somewhere, nothing stopping you from doing that. So pretty flexible system, not a huge amount to it. Just be aware that obviously the Send XP event is your new kind of Battle Pass XP go-to for challenges and activities. I think that's covered everything from the activity point of view. As I say, I did a stream last week where I did a little bit more of a deep dive into it and explained a few more things, and John, one of the sort of designers who worked on this sort of system, was in chat answering questions. So yeah, I'd recommend heading over to last week's archive if you are interested in that. And also Andy will be putting out a tutorial next week, kind of going through all the same sort of stuff with a bit more of a visual show off of how you can use it and all that sort of stuff. Okay, right, I think I'm about done there. I think that's been a pretty good look at all that stuff. Let's stop editing that. So it didn't end up with a game, but hopefully that's been a pretty good showcase of some of the stuff you can expect to get your hands on tomorrow. So as it stands, the build will be going out at 3 p.m. BST, so that's going to be out in the afternoon. And there'll be a short maintenance window. I think we're looking at around half an hour, but obviously do make sure you sort of check out the social channels, and we'll let you know what is going on. Were there any music files added in Industrial Revolution? There probably was. I didn't find them there, but hopefully tomorrow you can have a look through, or maybe AJ can show off a few of those tomorrow. But yeah, there tends to be a few music tracks coming through with what Matt has done, so there may be some in there. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to leave that there. So thank you everybody for joining in. As I said, it's been a pretty crazy few weeks with everything that's been going on. So obviously, if you haven't heard about the acquisition, the studio, we have been acquired by Facebook Gaming, which is super exciting and really amazing kind of opportunity for the studio. So we've got a whole blog post. We'll share that. And if you are interested, if you did have any questions, then do make sure you head over to Discord. I've got an acquisitions chat channel set up on there for people to sort of chat about and ask questions, and obviously we'll answer what we can. So that is discord.gg/Crayta, or if you're on Twitch, you can do the !Discord command to get that link. It's a really great place to hang out with the devs and the community. We do a lot of stuff over there, a lot of chats, a lot of questions, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, do make sure you check that out. And as always, obviously, you can head over to Twitter and Instagram at Crayta Game. AJ and Selena have done a really amazing job of keeping those sort of platforms going. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, little posts here and there, questions, polls, little sneak peeks of stuff. So if any of this stuff was new to you tonight, then make sure you head over and join the Twitter and the Instagram, because they're really great places to get all the sort of the fun little sneak peeks into stuff that's going on. So yeah, as I say, the update will be out tomorrow. We're looking at in the afternoon, our time here in the UK, so that's 3 o'clock BST. There'll be a maintenance window, so make sure you're on Discord, and we'll let you know obviously when that's happening, when it all wraps up. So super exciting for everyone. I'm really kind of excited to see what sort of stuff you can come out with. Let us know in chat, let us know on Discord what sort of stuff you're planning to build first. What you're most excited about from the meshes. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to close the stream out again with a trailer that we dropped just before this. So have a great evening, everyone. Make sure you tune in tomorrow when AJ is back with a really kind of interesting interview with Tak, who is our outsource manager, who can explain a lot more. I'm sure they'll be happy to take questions in chat, so they can answer a lot of really interesting questions about the way that the kind of the assets come together. So if you are interested in the art side of things, then make sure you tune in tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you maybe on Thursday for a dev stream. I'll let you know ahead if not. But yeah, have a great week, everybody. And I can't wait to see what you make with the new season launching tomorrow.